Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am club. I'm just heading to the bus stop. It's a Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day. It's mild. It's still very dark, even though we've got daylight savings that came to an end last weekend. But what I want to do today is talk to you about a subject that I've got near and dear to my heart. I work with a couple of people who came to Australia in the early 70s. One of the fellows that I work with is Lebanese of Islamic extraction, and the other one is Serbian, who's an Orthodox Christian. And both of the people that I work with are very, very hard working family people, love their families, love their cultures. But they both grew up very differently to how I grew up here in Australia. And both of them are puzzled by the same thing. And the thing that puzzles both of them is why Australians continue to complain about so many things when in this country we seem to be blessed with everything that is beautiful. The Lebanese fellow that I refer to tells me that when he was born, when he was growing up, he grew up in a country that was constantly at war. And his childhood was very, very traumatic. He saw deaths, he saw shootings, he was shot at, and every single day he'd be going to school. He went to a Catholic school, believe it or not. But in order to get to school, in order to get home from school, and all of those things was a daily trauma. His house got bombed, and yeah, it was just one big trauma story. Like I'd be listening to it and I'd have my mouth open because I just couldn't picture and I just couldn't understand what he was talking about, given that I grew up here in Australia, and for us here it has always been a lucky country and always will be a lucky country. My other friend or work colleague that I work with, as I said, is Serbian, and once again he grew up in wartime, where death, murder, shootings, bombings was just a normal way of growing up. And I look at my granddaughters and I look at my cousins and I look at all the people who live in Australia and how peaceful our lives have been relative to how other people have grown up in other countries. So I guess the key message from this 5am club this morning, and I'll keep it short, the key message from Bilal and Miroslav is stop your whinging. Stop complaining about anything and everything, because the life that we lead here in Australia is absolutely brilliant. And to understand that if you haven't grown up, like many people grow up in war, in civil war, in attack from other countries, then you really don't really know how blessed and how wonderful we have it here in this country. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm starting to trim my videos down, and I try to keep them now to under 5 minutes wherever I can. Of course, whenever I do a book summary and I need to go through the 3 key points, then we may need to get to 10 or 15 minutes. But the topics where I just choose to speak from my heart, I'm going to narrow them down and just keep them short to make them more palatable and more enjoyable, potentially for my friends and family who are watching them on Facebook. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's live with gratitude, because our lives in this wonderful country, regardless of how poor we are, regardless of how miserable we may think we are, in relative terms, we are living like kings compared to how people have lived in the past in other countries. And even our parents came from war-torn countries. I remember my parents coming from Greece, which Greece had both World War II, where they were occupied and terrorized by Italian forces and Bulgarian forces, and German forces, the Axis forces of Hitler. And we also had a terrible time with civil war, which was even more vicious than the ordeals that we faced from our tormentors, which were outside the country. So the brother on brother wars, the civil wars, were much, much more vicious and worse. Anyway, take care, and I'll come to you again a little bit later, where we go through a book summary and learn something new, hopefully, to help us get through the morning, get through the day, and be the wind beneath our wings, and something that'll allow us to live, learn, and pass it on. Good luck, and bye for now.